Okay. So at the basis of decisions that are made using machine learning embedded systems, at the basis of that is decision over uncertainty about the state of the world. And what we mean, concretely mean here, in this context, is whether or not the machine learning is correct, whether or not the machine learning is given a correct recommendation of that sort or another. So for instance, if you want to think concretely, just think about a binary classifier. So a binary classifier sometimes is correct, sometimes is not correct. And we want to incorporate it in our decision process to have a more optimized, some sort of business process. Again, remember the example with the chatbot. We want to incorporate it in such a way that we know what to do with the discussion that is going on with the chatbot, and we know when to automatically make a decision to direct it to a human agent. So in order to get an optimal overall process, we need a process in which we know and we control the percentage of calls that are directed to a human agent. And as part of it, if you look at the system, there's different classifiers there that are trying to guess what the intent of the discussion is. And all of these classifiers would give you a recommendation. They would say, you know, this discussion has to do with salary, or this discussion has to do with reporting sick days. You know, all kind of determinations of that sort. But those determinations that the classifier are making have an uncertainty. Have uncertainty ingrained in them. So there's uncertainty about the state of the world. That's what we mean by uncertainty about the state of the world. So this is so basically what I'm saying here is that putting together a machine learning embedded system with business process means using decision theory. So decision theory is the tool that or the framework that let you bring the two together. And we talk about it some more in chapter 7. Here we're giving just a brief introduction to the concepts of decision. Any questions or comments about the background to this?
No,
okay,
not yet.
Okay, good. Okay, so the way decision theory is formalized, so you have an agent that is making a decision. A decision sometimes is called an action, and it's just a set of actions, possible actions. So A is the decision or the actions set. It could be like, for instance, one decision could be we trust the machine learning embedded system recommendation blindly. Or another decision could be we let an agent inspect the machine learning decision and make a final decision, and so on. So that's a set of actions. In You know, the classical examples for this is I'm going to go outside. Should I take an umbrella? Okay, so my decision set is take an umbrella or don't take an umbrella, and so on. So this is very abstract, right? Any decision applies. And then there's uncertainty about the world. Otherwise, maybe I know exactly what is good for me as a decision maker. And if I know everything, I can make a decision. But maybe I don't know what the actual state of the world is. I don't know if there's going to be rain or not in the next few hours when I'm outside. If I knew that there's going to be rain, I would take an umbrella. If I knew that there was no rain, I'm not going to take an umbrella. But I'm going to be outside in the next 3 hours, and I don't know for certain if there's going to be rain or not. So that's the setting. So you have a state, and then for once you make a decision, and if you like, you can think about someone else choosing, like a nature. Sometimes they call it nature. So nature chooses the state. Then there's a loss associated with the decision I made and the state that actually occurred. So I decided not to take an umbrella. I went outside. The state was raining, and I got wet. So there's some loss associated with the decision I make and the state. I decided to take an umbrella, and it didn't rain, so I was upset because I was walking around with an umbrella all day long and there was no rain. Okay, we quantify it by the function LAS, which says this is the loss given the action that you took and the state that occurred. Now, there's two ways to think about what does it mean to make a rational decision here. One is called the Minimax Principle. It's conservative and doesn't assume that we know anything about the probabilities of what's going to happen. So in the Minimax, if you apply the Minimax Principle, what you're looking at is what is the worst thing that can happen to you. So basically, this is the expression here, this one. So basically what it says here is that, well, I'm going to go outside and then nature is going to look at what I did. If I took an umbrella, nature is going to choose the state that is not raining to make it worse for me. And if I did not take the umbrella, nature is going to look at what I did, and it's going to decide to rain. So I'll get wet. Okay, and then so you look at the worst thing that can happen for each of your decisions, and then you take the minimum over that, and that's your min-max action. So it's very conservative. I look at the worst thing an adversary can do to me for each action that I make in terms of the states, and then I pick up the minimum one. Now, incidentally, for those of you who are aware of game theory, this is actually the Nash Equilibrium for the appropriate game, if we define it as a zero-sum game. For those of you who are not familiar with game theory, just ignore what I just said. But the point is that it's very conservative. It doesn't assume any knowledge about how nature is going to behave, and it's assumed nature is out to get you, which is not a very realistic assumption sometimes. So we may be too conservative in our decision, although we can explain our decision. It's rational. but it's very conservative. Now, the other principle that you would see assumes more information, either objective or subjective, depending on how you think about probabilities. But we assume that you have some probability distribution that represents the different likelihood of the states of the world. So there's a probability of 70% that rain is going to happen when I go out. That probability may be subjective. I just think that this is going to be for whatever reason. That's my belief system. Or it could be objective in some sense, like if you think about probabilities as based on data. So maybe the data for this season would say that 70% of the time there's going to be rain if I'm in London. Something like that. Okay, because now it's this month of the year. So maybe I'm using some statistics, some data, or maybe the subjective probabilities. In any case, the mathematics is the same. They call it the Bayes rule. Those of you who already are exposed to machine learning, you heard about the Bayes rule. But this is the origin of the Bayes rule. And you come and you say, okay, if this is the probability, what's the average loss that I'm going to get? So it's probably 70%. I'm going to go outside, it's going to rain, and my loss is going to be this and that. And if I take this action, I don't take an umbrella. Probability 30%, I'm going to go outside and it's going to rain. It's not going to rain, and I took an umbrella. So now I can calculate the average probability, average loss, and then I can look at that and I can choose the action that minimizes the loss according to my assumptions about the distribution. And this is called the Bayes rule. Note two things about this. A way to rationalize your decision. One interesting point is that you are making a decision that is based on a distribution that represents your understanding about reality. So that's one thing that is sometimes very hard to come to, but it's also sometimes very easy. And it could be based on data, it could be based on subjective probabilities. The other thing you could do is, the other point to realize is that we're basing the decision we're making on an average. Now, if the points that we are taking the average on are very far away in terms of their utility, then there might be issues with that as well, which I don't go into now, but just note that we're using average in the decision. Okay, so here's a very nice example. And then once I go through this example, I think it's useful for everyone to try and think about a confusion matrix of a classifier, a binary classifier. How do you apply the Bayes rule on top of it? Okay, so that's the next exercise. But let's consider the example first. So the example is very interesting. It does two actions. One is A and the other is B. When we take action B, we pay 1. When we take action A, we pay some number between 0 and 1 times 2. Okay. So say, but we don't know. This number S is the state of the world, and we don't know what S is. So if we take action A, we pay 2S depending on what S is, but we don't know what S is. Okay, so so if you don't know anything about reality, if S is very close to 1, you're going to pay 2S, which is much larger than 1, right? So you're going to choose what, A or B?
You'd want to choose B.
Right, exactly. So that's the min-max. So the min-max is very conservative. Now, if you know what the percentage, what S is, or you know some you have some, say you know that the average of S is 25% plus minus 5% standard deviation. Okay. So if you choose A, what is going to be your payment, more or less?
50%?
Well, it's 2 times the average, right? So it will be 40%, right?
Oh, 40. I thought you said 25.
Yeah. And never mind, it's just 2 times the average, and the standard deviation would allow for fluctuations around that average. So you're right. It's going to be much less than 1. That's the point. Okay. So you see here that if you have more information, you would choose A. So it's in my mind, it's a very nice example to showcase how the min-max is very conservative, and the once you have more information, you can, in principle, if you're willing to work with averages and so on, you can choose A and make some profit. Because you know something about the distribution of S. Okay, so that's what I wanted to talk about today. Any additional questions or comments? Okay, so right, so thank you very much for joining, and we'll continue next week.
Thanks, Eitan.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.